Welcome back, everybody. This is a segment that we like to call Did You Hear? Now, you may see an unfamiliar face on our panel this morning because this is Cameron Harper, our GDSA intern,
Welcome,
who we
Cameron.
invited to be a part of our panel because he's so full of ideas and thoughts and perspectives. So we said, come on, Cameron, join us in today's Did You Hear segment. Now, this first story is a quite serious story, and I do want to let you know that these pictures, these images you're going to see as part of this story are very graphic. So you think something you might not want to see, please look away or take small children out of the room. This is the picture of 37-year-old Angela Brower. Here's her story. She is a woman who says, I am a victim of domestic violence. This is what she did. She was involved in a relationship with a guy, an abusive boyfriend that she left. She went back to retrieve some things from the relationship, and he did this to her face. What she did, I think, is very courageous. She uploaded these pictures to her Facebook, and she said, I want this to be a lesson to women to run, not walk, run when you get the opportunity to get out of an abusive relationship.
Good if there's somebody that's maybe just like on the brink of an abusive relationship that hasn't quite reached this level, that maybe they will see this and it prevents them from ever even sticking around.
Yeah,
and
or
to
someone
make
who is
something
thinking
work.
of going back. Maybe he changed. Maybe it's different, and they'll see that.
That is what she said. And so many women don't talk about domestic violence.
That's a good point, because what I will say with social media, what we see oftentimes on Facebook, people over-idealize their life. They only show you the positive parts.
Yes.
So for her to be so raw and open about that, I think she's so forthcoming with something that's so negative. It's amazing to see that.
I hope that was good evidence to use to go and get that guy and throw him in jail.
Yes, and he is in jail, and that hats off to Angela Brower for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is interesting. Seattle has embarked on something that perhaps the nation will take notice of. Seattle has raised their minimum wage. City Council unanimously passed an ordinance on Monday that will increase the minimum wage in the city to, drumroll please, $15, which would make it the highest in the nation.
I'm going to move to Seattle, look for a job.
Okay, so this has unanimously been approved, and it'll take effect, what, in the next year?
It's going to phase in over time, over a few years.
Oh, yeah, it kicks in April 1st of 2015. Wow. The minimum wage in Seattle is currently $9.55 an hour, so it's going to kick up to $10.
That's what's so shocking to me. It's like if it was 12, I'd be like, well, okay, but that's a huge jump. Over $5.
Yes, we thought this was particularly interesting for Cameron's demographic because you are a college student.
We are in that generation of young adults where we are trying to build the foundation for our lives off of a minimum wage that to some, I mean, it's not necessarily a living wage.
Right.
So this is actually pretty compelling to see. But one of the other things that people may not know, there are some concerns about small businesses.
Yes.
But any business that's under the size of 500 employees doesn't have to phase into $15 until I believe it's 2021.
But they're still going to have to phase in at some point.
And the interesting thing about this is franchises. So like, you know, like Subway, the owner of one of the local franchises of Subway, he was saying like they have to participate in this.
Yeah, somebody's got to eat the cost, right?
Because they're nationwide, even though he may only own one location.
Right. Yes.
And so to me, I think, you know, it's very easy for politicians, for the sake of votes, to spend other people's money. And that's all I see that this is. People get behind it, but I own a couple of businesses, and if I was forced to have to raise the pay to a certain level, I may have to cut an employee or cut
or you've
hours.
Got to raise your costs.
Or something.
Seems like that could be really bad.
So
this is interesting.
I just don't see how it makes sense.
Well, but listen, I think about this too. We tend to categorize jobs and their importance based upon the skill level or the title.
Right.
But if a person is working 40 hours a week, what makes the pay they earn any less significant than what somebody who, you know, works in a higher profile job? Like everybody's doing a job that means something to somebody.
Sure.
You know, so if you're talking about somebody who works at a drive-through and you go, oh, well, it's just a drive-through job. Well, guess what? When you get ready to go to lunch and you go through that drive-through, you're counting on those people to be there to take your order, to make your food, to give you the right order. So every job has its own weight.
I wonder if people will quit their jobs and go work in the drive-through.
Yeah, because when I ask for extra cheese and I don't get it, I don't think that's worth $15 an hour.
Why not? Well,
but anyway.
We got to think it's a job that allows us to maintain our comfort of our lifestyle.
Definitely a story everybody's going to be talking about.
I know when I used to make $5 an hour, I didn't want to stay there, and it was my motivation to do more.